Hi guys, today's look is pretty quick and simple, and up close it's really beautiful. So let's get on with today's tutorial. I'm starting with the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, which you know is a firm favourite of mine. I'm just adding a little bit of extra colour. It won't match my hands, but it will make me feel better because I feel very pale. So I'm using a damp beauty blender, which is my favourite way to put this onto the face. Obviously I've dispersed the majority of the foundation on with my fingers first so that the sponge doesn't absorb too much, but I do like the finish that a sponge gives because it almost looks airbrushed, but it also looks super natural. For those of you that are wondering, I am still on the retinol. My skin is just starting to adjust a little bit. It's still quite red and a little bit dry, but we are getting there, so there is light at the end of the tunnel. As I do have a little bit of melasma, I'm going to take the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in the shade Nude, and using a small blending brush and popping a small amount of that onto the areas that are peeking through my foundation, and then we're just going to use my sponge to press that into the skin. This is a super high coverage concealer. It comes in an abundance of shades, and as long as your skin's really moisturised underneath, then it won't look cakey on the skin. I always get asked how I fill in my eyebrows. You may be new around here, so you may not know that my favourite brow pen is the Decay Brow Blade. I have a dedicated tutorial on how to use this, and it's filmed up close so you can see all the details, you can see the strokes and the direction that I use to fill in my brows. I'll link that tutorial on screen for you now. The shade I'm using is Cool Cookie. It's the coolest shade in the collection. And the Decay Brow Blade has the thinnest tip. Usually if I have another brand, I cut it to match this one because I like how tiny it is because you can really mimic hair strokes. To set my hairs in place, I'm using the Clear Brow Gel by Benefit. This is the 24-hour setter and it is fantastic. I'm going to do an eye look that's really quick and simple. So I'm starting off with some bronzer. The one I have is the Charlotte Tilbury one because it's quite warm, and I'm taking my Morphe E22 blending brush and working that directly into the socket, taking it quite high towards the eyebrow bone. You do not need to be too precise about this. It's really just a wash of colour into the area so that when we warm up the face later, everything's cohesive. This blending brush by Morphe is slightly tapered, so it really does the work for you because the actual point of the brush sits into the socket, so you can do window wiper motions and the tapered bristles around it will do all the blending for you. There are tricks to creating a more flawless base without having to wear full coverage all over. And I find one of the key areas to really conceal is the inner corners of your eyes because these tend to get the darkest. That area is quite thin. So going in with a full coverage concealer here is really great at making your face look more awake and the overall tone of your skin much more uniformed. The brush I'm using is a Syntho brush by Crayon. It's really small, it's domed, so it fits perfectly into this socket. Now I'm going in with the iconic London Glaze crayon. I've been using these so much recently. Like I've said so many times before, if you invest in something, you want to be able to see a number of looks using it. I'm sure I've included every single colour within a tutorial now. Today's one is Champagne. I'm taking the crayon side from the root of the eyelashes up to where the eye naturally creases, which is called the socket. And where it meets the bronzer is where we're going to do a very soft blend. You can also blend this in with your fingers. The warmth really does work nicely with creams, but around the actual socket I like to use a tiny brush. And all I'm doing is using a soft feathering motion just to blend between the bronzer and the cream. Next I'm going into the glaze side, which is this beautiful glossy metallic sheen, which I'm applying with a small brush to the inner corners of the eyes, and then very softly I'm going to run that over the actual lid space. I say softly, but I'm referring to it as subtly because I don't want a ton of it on there. I don't want it to be too metallic. It's just a beautiful sheen over the top. After you've applied it, make sure you look down and fan your eyelids so that they are completely dry, and this is especially important if you have hooded eyelids. As many of you know, I'm a huge fan of a little wing, and today I'm starting off with a brown pencil by Code A. This is beautiful. When I went into the store, the lady that worked there was wearing it and I was mesmerised because it's just the most beautiful brown. A lot of browns come up red on me, hence why I always opt for MAC coffee pencil, but this one is beautiful. It's super soft and it's a great way to create a wing liner to begin with that you can then layer on top of, and it will give a slightly diffused finish. Another great aspect to using a pencil is that if you go wrong, it's a lot easier to remove, but this way using a brush we can soften those edges and it's a little bit more forgiving. I know usually I am completely zoomed in for the eye makeup. This week I thought I'd do it just a little bit different because this eye makeup is so easy and so simple. I thought I would just continue to film it as I do when I'm doing the face makeup. But don't worry, I will continue to zoom in on future tutorials. It's just this one is so easy. Remember to always lift the edges of your eyeliner. You can always tidy up with a cotton bud or your finger. This is probably my most used affordable makeup product. This one is about £3. It's the liquid eyeliner called the Mega Liner by Wet n Wild. It's a matte finish, it lasts all day, it doesn't flake, and it has a foam tip, so it's really similar to my favourite one by Lancome, which I don't even use anymore because I use this one. And you can also get this in a range of different colours, but you can also get it in a shimmery finish. But the matte one in the brown is my favourite because it's really deep brown. You can get it in black, but this is a really nice flattering brown. So I've traced over the pencil, which has given us a bit of a shadow behind, which I really like. I've taken the liquid liner all the way along the inner corner to the outer edge. And we're going to be coming back to the eyeliner later, but for now I'm taking the Code 8 brown eyeliner along my waterline, and then I'm going to take a small brush and smudge that between my lower eyelashes before going in with the same bronzer that we used through the socket, and this is going underneath those lower eyelashes to frame the eye. So we're going back to the eyeliner now with that bronzer, and we're just enhancing that little bit of a shadowed appearance that we've got going on where the brown pencil is diffused just above the liquid eyeliner. Then going back to my Morphe brush and a little bit more of that bronzer, I'm going to further enhance the colour through the socket line. This brand is some of my favourite eyelashes, this one and Lash Base. This is by Eyeshadow and these ones are called Love and Peace. These are from the Unison collection, which they've actually added some new styles to and also some fully recyclable packaging. I love this collection because a lot of them are super natural. If you're slightly more mature or you've got smaller eyes and you're looking for something that's really understated, they do very small sets of eyelashes that are perfect for like Mothers of the Bride. Here I'm taking an angled liner brush which I've run over the tip of the brown pencil, and I'm using that just to subtly further smoke out that diffused line just above the eyeliner, which I think is so pretty. If you want to keep your false eyelashes full and fluffy, then you don't have to apply mascara to them. You would apply your mascara to your natural lashes first before you place your false lashes on. I like to create a little bit more of a spiky finish to this particular set of lashes. So I'm taking my mascara by Charlotte Tilbury, and as you can see I'm doing a technique where I pull the lashes down with the mascara, and this just means that you're coating the mid shaft of the eyelash but you're not coating the very tips. I do make sure to brush them upwards after so that they do stand upright, but this means they adhere to my natural lashes and the very tips of them don't become too spiky. You want the mid lengths to be a bit more spiky and the ends to still look fluffy. On the back of my hand I'm placing a little bit more of the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, which I used on my melasma earlier, and on my beauty blender I'm placing the smallest amount underneath my eyes. The rest of the face is relatively natural when it comes to the foundation coverage, so I just want a little bit more coverage underneath those eyes. I've chosen to decant it first so that I only apply a very light amount. As you know, I am well and truly in love with my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder, and using my damp beauty blender I'm pressing that onto the skin only throughout the centre of the face so that I'm not shiny. As I mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, I'm going to use the same bronzer that I'm using through the socket so that there is a more cohesive colour palette to the face. I would say this isn't my favourite bronzer because it's definitely a little bit more on the warmer orangey side. My favourite, as you know, is the Bare Minerals Faux Tan because it is slightly cooler. I'm applying this in all the usual places, and the brush I'm using is the Angled Contour Brush by Bobbi Brown, which is super soft. I haven't reached for this in a little while and I sometimes forget I've got it, but I really love this little palette. This one is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm taking the coral shade and popping that on to the high points of my cheeks using this Morphe angled brush. This one does have a little bit of shimmer to it. My preference is usually a matte cream or a matte powder. I keep losing these and I absolutely love it. This is the L'Oreal Sexy Balm in Gossip 102. You've seen it a million times on my channel and I've probably bought a million of them. I actually bought a new one on Amazon the other day because I couldn't find it. It arrived and then I found my old one. But I like this because it really is just a wash of colour, which is a nice comfortable balm, but you can wear a lipstick with this. I'm just not much of a lip person myself. And I recently had my bangs cut a little bit shorter, so this is my cousin it impression. So that completes today's tutorial. I do have a tutorial next week of my curled hair, which was at the beginning of this tutorial. So don't forget to hit the notification button so you don't miss that going live. As always, all the products I've used will be listed and linked in the description bar. Come follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram, which is @ShowMeMakeup, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys!